and the All Indiana Podcast Network. This is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Jenkins, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 Podcast for Wednesday, February 19th. We begin with IMPD in the hunt for people who may have been involved in a deadly shooting on the northeast side that left one person dead and 3 others wounded. Officers were called early yesterday afternoon to a home on Wallace Avenue near 34th and Emerson. They found 2 men shot inside the home. Police say one died at the scene, the other was taken to a hospital. IMPD says 2 other shooting victims were later found near the scene. Both were taken to hospitals. Officers say they later found drugs inside the home, but they haven't said what led to the gunfire. Right now, police are urging witnesses who may know something to come forward. There's no word yet on what caused a house fire in Anderson that left a 72-year-old woman dead. Madison County Dispatch says fire crews were called around 1 yesterday afternoon to a house fire on Thayer Court near State Road 32. Firefighters say they found Lacey Sawyer dead inside the home. The Madison County coroner says an official cause of death has not been determined. The Mooresville High School student accused of planning a Valentine's Day mass shooting will remain in jail until a judge makes a decision on bond. Prosecutors say Trinity Shockley requested a $500,000 property surety and a $250,000 cash bond at a hearing yesterday. If the judge approves it, prosecutors ask that Shockley be under home detention and GPS monitoring. Shockley is charged with conspiracy to commit murder and making terroristic threats. The judge did not say when he would rule on the bond request. In Harrison County, a man has been arrested for making threats against President Trump's aide, Elon Musk. State police say David Cherry posted life-threatening messages aimed at Musk on his social media platform X this month. Police say they were tipped off about the post by Texas authorities. After getting a search warrant, police say they found a rifle, handgun, ammunition, and a bulletproof vest inside Cherry's home in the town of Palmyra. Cherry is facing preliminary charges of intimidation. The state Senate has passed a bill that could remove 250,000 Hoosiers from Medicaid. It's part of Governor Braun's push to shift spending away from health care for those on low income. Garrett Berquist reports.
This bill is a top priority for Senate Republicans. They've been warning for years that the state's Medicaid program is growing unsustainably. The measure caps enrollment in the Healthy Indiana plan at 500,000. There are more than 700,000 people currently using the plan, so the bill could potentially kick more than 200 people off of the Healthy Indiana plan. It imposes a work requirement for able-bodied adults without children. You would have to work or volunteer at least 20 hours per week if you did not meet one of several exceptions. And it prohibits any advertising for Medicaid services.
Medicaid's grown by $5 billion over the last 4 years. The rate of growth is higher than our entire revenue, our rate of revenue increase. So we're spending more on Medicaid alone than the percentage of our total revenue.
My question is, where's the data that shows that 300,000 people do not need Medicaid services? Wouldn't it be more assuring to all of us to have a report that showed the 300,000 people, maybe 100,000 of them might not need services, maybe 100 of them were not insured before and were not informed before, and they got insured after the expansion?
Mishler says the work requirement alone should bring enrollment below 500,000. He says savings could be used for other purposes, such as paring down the wait list for Medicaid waivers for the Pathways for example, the Pathways program. The bill passed the Senate on party lines. It now goes over to the House. At the State House, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Happening today at the State House, it is the deadline for amendments to be heard on bills before the House and Senate. It is also the final day for either chamber to pass bills before sending them to the other side to be heard. Also today, the Senate is scheduled to hear several amendments to the bill that would require traditional public schools to share tax referendum revenues with charter schools. Indianapolis Public Schools opposes that bill. The district says it could put some IPS schools at risk of closing. When it comes to the weather, Storm Track 8 says the frigid temperatures remain, and with them, some light snow showers today. Meteorologist Marcus Bailey has your News 8 Daily 8 forecast.
Let's get you started here. First, with snow chances, we've got 2 waves that are going to be coming through here, all right? Wave number 1 now, not bad. flurries for most. There's a lot of dry air in place around the metro area, and so a lot of this isn't necessarily even hitting the ground. But consider this, we are frigid, so anything that flies around is going to stick at some point, right? It's not going to melt on contact. So just be aware, at worst, we could get a very thin coating on the roads this morning. I think wave number 2 that's coming our way later, which is out here, I know it doesn't look impressive, but it's a little bit more consistent across the entire state. That may bring us some snowfall accumulation. So here's wave number 1, probably done by around 6, 7, 8 o'clock this morning. Wave number 2, I feel pretty good that it will be starting in the metro area after the evening drive. That's a good thing, right? We didn't want this to happen during the evening rush. All the kiddos will be home from school. Now, if you got some sporting events or after school activities with the kiddos, roads may be a little slick anytime after 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. I don't think we're going to get a lot of accumulation here. The heaviest accumulation will be down south where the advisories and warnings are located. No active warnings or advisories in the Indy metro area, but I do think we could stand to see upwards of 1 inch of snow, slightly higher amounts, maybe an inch, inch and a half, places like Anderson, Kokomo, Muncie, Newcastle, Winchester, okay? Again, not a super heavy snow, but enough to make the roads definitely slick for this evening. 14 now, wind chill is at 0 today. Outside of, the morning snow chances, the daytime hours are pretty quiet. A high of 20 wind chills into the single digits. Coming up, we'll talk more about our evening snow. It does turn bitter cold overnight, but some warmer days ahead in the 7-day forecast. We'll break that down coming your way in just a few minutes.
To get a peek at Marcus Bailey's full forecast, just head over to wishtv.com, or you can download the Wish TV Storm Track 8 app, and don't forget to check out our Storm Track 8 weather blogs. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 podcast for Wednesday, February 19th. I'm Jeremy Jenkins for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.